Was that thunder? We should dab it off. We can dab it
Yeah,
off.
I mean, we should dab it off, definitely, but like that sound was incredible.
Spilling on that dashboard might have been the greatest thing you've ever. Spill again, dude. Just
Fuck it. What the fuck was that sound? It was incredible.
And then it was just like roaring waves washing over me.
All right, I'm gonna dab it. I'll be right back. That's the third time I've done that, but that was like impressive.
Am I like phosphorescently white right now? I'm pretty pale, guys, but I'm not. I don't think I'm that pale. I have like a NSYNC or Backstreet Boys that are the all white. Likable, man. Like it, and like it's not even, not to diminish anybody's skill set. I love the community, but like you just have to be a likable person. That's it. The other comics and the people that are going to put you on shows care about that exponentially more than they care about what your sets are.
And so I do want to talk to you about that once we start this episode. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this is Shot 30 Podcast, and I am Shayne Newbert, and today we have a very special guest in the studio. And before we get started, I'll just say it to you. The very first time I saw you, you have this RBF, resting bitch face, that I thought you were such a mean guy that I didn't even want to approach you.
I've gotten that so much recently.
I think it's because people are now hearing you on podcasts and seeing you. But Mr. Zach Vaughan is in the studio today. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm excited to go on this quest with you.
and honestly, I would have sent you on the quest because you would have gotten to the right spot. But did you see the pit bulls out front? Or there was not.
Just like when you said that, I'm like, man, this really is a quest. Like I love dogs, so I wasn't like deterred, but I'm like, there are 2 pit bulls out front. Their names are going to be Santiago and Dunbar. The real,
they got choker collars.
The keys hidden behind them. Yeah,
dude, wouldn't it be cool to go on a real quest?
Yeah.
And so, I am hosting the Speakeasy next Friday, and this episode will be up before then.
Okay.
And I am going to do something, and I'm shamelessly doing it. I love the fucking TV show Survivor so much. I've watched the seasons multiple times, sometimes to an obnoxious rate. Like I've watched season 1 5, 6 times.
Okay.
Season 8, which was All Stars, like 1,000,000 times. And I'm shamelessly going to go, hey, this is the 3rd time I've applied to this show. My name's Shayne Newbert. I'm a stand-up comedian. Jeff Probst, this is my one shot. And I'm going to make sure like the whole crowd at the Speakeasy like roars. I'm going to do it during the show.
Survivor's still going on, huh?
Oh yeah, season 42.
Jeff Probst is like, what, like 86?
Oh, he's real old. He's got a lot of work done. Cheers, my friend.
Hey, cheers,
and if you
man.
don't want to drink, you don't have to. But you know, you do that down, hit the table thing. That's like supposed like some spiritual thing.
Is it? It's just what I've always seen people doing, and I'm just like, no, I don't know enough about drinking to put my own spin on it, so
Yeah.
I'll just do the gold standard.
Yeah. So let's get back to this resting bitch face. You have a very stern look on you.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Like, look at you now. Like, if I were to ever see, like, you're like bubbly and happy and you're smiling cheek to cheek. What I mean, Also listening, Urine Collins podcast, absolutely phenomenal. And like I said, don't be prepared for the same thing because we're going to say at least cock, a dick, balls, asshole. Why am I starting with all men thing? Like nipples, vagina, clitoris.
Nipples still a man thing, but yeah, you're good, man.
Yeah.
Why am I saying all men thing? Nipples.
Chest hair. Dude, what's your opinion on armpit hair on women?
I not too into it. Not too into it. But like, I mean, if somebody's like hanging around, I'm not gonna be weird about like somebody having some stubble growing if like we're hanging around, you know?
Yeah. Do you shave your armpits?
I don't.
Well, I'm a big advocate. Like, so I know that 100% I can tell somebody I don't like your hairy armpits because I don't have them.
Okay.
So I don't really grow hair there, and two, I only grow hair on my face because I took a lot of growth hormone back in my powerlifting days.
Not me, man. It's just hair everywhere.
Is it really?
I have to do like an hour of personal grooming a week just to keep on track. And like, if I don't do that and I'm about to like link up with a lady for the first time, I'm like, oh, it's been a couple weeks. Drains are getting clogged, dude.
And so when you say link up, does that mean like a dating app?
It's been dating apps a lot since I moved to the Quad Cities. I've been here for like 4 months. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's been dating apps a lot when I was in Bloomington too. I'm just so like just not a social person. Like comedy's like really like my foray into like being like social. And I'm like extroverted. I'm like an extroverted introvert, right? So like if people speak to me and stuff, I'm gonna like speak back, and people tend to like me, I guess, when they get past my shitty face.
Oh, it's not a shitty face. It's just a mean one. But I got the same thing, and that this is something that really blows my mind. Is so in the LGBTQ crowd, I started doing stand up, and I started making appearances. Well, I was doing really well. And because I don't really attack people when I do stand up. I just do like my own personal vulnerability, I guess. But I was showing up at these crowds and I looked like the guy who bullied them. Or I looked like a fucking douchebag. And I that hurt my feelings. And I see that too with you. And Leslie Mitchell's one of my best friends, and she even told me the same thing with you, that she had a run-in with you. Like, I thought he was gonna be such a jerk, and he's this complete sweetheart. Like,
yeah, I think I'm just always in such a heavy state of like contemplation in my own head that I have like a focused face all the time. Like if somebody's not actively engaging with me, I'm probably just like thinking about 20 different things.
Yeah,
and that's just where my face goes. But
well, I mean, and so, but your stand up is more of a like more of like a meaner guy, like not meaner guy, like I don't want to use the word depressed, but just
condescending.
Yeah, it's dry.
It's
that would
dry.
be, yeah, like where you're like explaining a story or something, this or that, and you stay like in this monotone area where you're right here. So it is a weird thing because I know that stand up is so much different than who we are as people.
Yeah.
But
it's something that like I arrived to because when I first started off like doing stand up,
I poured another one of these just so you know.
When I first started off doing stand up, it was I mean it was during the pandemic.
Oh, so you just started?
About a year and a half ago.
Oh wow. Dude, you've been fucking killing it then.
It was during the pandemic. I don't do anything, man. Like I stay inside. I've never been like a big like going out to bars and like party sort of guy. Mm-hmm. Like I keep like my close knit group of friends. So the only experiences that I was having in Bloomington, like nobody wanted to hear about my job or like nobody wanted to hear about me going to the gym or my boring hobbies. I was just like going on dates, you know? Mm-hmm. So like my stand up for like the first 6 months was just like me going to a room full of people, which I mean, you've been to open mics. There's like one Austin Ingalls for every 7 Wolf Moshers, you know, and me being like, this is why I'm getting so much more pussy than you guys are. And then I would get off stage and I'd be like, I don't get why these comics don't like me, man.
Well, that was two ends of the spectrum. You got one that's rooting for 9/11, another one, and then you got another one that's rooting for the dead bodies, just so he can get a little poo-tang.
So eventually I found like my voice and like doing more dry stuff. Like my early stuff was way more inflective. It was probably I pace a lot on stage. I'm like a pacer. If I like take a mic out of a stand, I'm doing a 5K up there.
Oh
man.
yeah, I'm the same way.
It was a lot more animated. I kind of affected like I don't know, like a customer service voice or something, you know? It just didn't seem like me. And then one day I tried material that I had already written with just this kind of dry, deadpan delivery, where like the only inflection that was really in my voice was like maybe the inflection that you get when you're talking to somebody and they're like trying to make you feel like they're really into the conversation, you know, like, hey, you know, like, and then I hit those same punchlines, and like punchlines that were just like meh before became like murders.
Oh, good.
And I'm like, oh, like maybe this is where it's at. And then I stopped, you know, I rarely talk about my dating life or my sex life on stage anymore. Now, most of it's just weird little stories I can come up with, you know. Some of them are stories that happen in my life. All of them are hyperbole. You know, you can tell sometimes like the way I tell a story, because it is so dry, you can tell sometimes the audience is like, did he just say the most fucked up thing I've ever heard and meant it? Like, you know, I'm like, nah, I'm just fucking around up here. But and it's just been better. And honestly, moving to the Quad Cities, when I moved up here a few months ago, because there were so many mics in like the Bloomington, Normal, Champaign area. Shout out Jesse Tuttle.
Oh yeah. Let's put his face right there.
Great dude. He runs several venues out of there for mics. You can hit up 3 mics a week now if you're in the Champaign-Urbana area. And I moved up here where you can hit 3 mics every other week, maybe, you know?
But that's still, I mean, that is still a better number than what it was in this area, too. And the amount of shows, whether it be Austin or, I mean, all these people, Pubali, they're working hard to getting more shows. I wish Dubuque, if you could just grab Dubuque and pull it an hour closer, because 6 hours for 5 minutes for me, you know, being here, it's an hour and a half drive. You sit around for an hour and a half. And then you do 5 minutes, and then you sit around for another half hour to 45 minutes, and then you drive home. That's a long night.
When I very first started, I was traveling for work. So cheers, my dude.
Cheers, Pablo.
So I would work 3 weeks out of the month on the road, all over the country, and then I would have 1 full week off. So I could only do stand-up comedy or my 1 full week off. And a good friend of mine at the time, I was talking to him, known him since high school. I'm like, I want to do it. How do I do it? Where do I do it? And he's like, there's this place in Des Moines. It's called Teehees. You should go up there. And that was a 5.5 hour drive for me. Oof. And I would make that 5.5 hour drive every week that I had off and just eat shit. Just fucking, they hated me, dude. And somehow I was like delusional enough that I was completely undeterred by it, and I stuck with it. And eventually, you know, now people somehow like me and want to listen to me say words, which is crazy.
How do you feel when you eat shit? Like, I mean, give me the hardcore, like, not just the, like, I don't care, because it's very easy for us to say, I don't care. You know, I made my money tonight, or blah, blah, blah. But how do you feel when you get home and you eat shit?
So I really don't care. I mean, it's weird. Like, let me rephrase things. Early on, I think I had a bad set, and that same friend I was just talking about was like, listen, man, these mics, they're batting practice. These people, it's their privilege to listen to you. Don't worry about it. And I kind of affected that mentality. Now when I eat shit, I don't care as long as I made progress on a new joke. If I ate shit and the whole set was kind of off, if I told a joke that I'd been working on and I didn't progress it at all, it wasn't any better than the last time I told it, it wasn't any tighter, then I'm like, this was time wasted. And I hate that. But as far as going up on stage, like, I mean, it's cool to bomb sometimes, man. Like a little bit in my mind. That's what makes it like interesting and like kind of dangerous, you know?
I had a bomb session at a speakeasy show a couple months ago, and I was trying something new. It was like I was talking about Furbies. I was talking about Furbies and how creepy they were, and then I was like, but my Furby would like come to life, and I was like, hey Holmes, you got the tequila with the lime. Could you go get it? Like, and so I was doing something I've never done, and I was bombing, and I was standing on the stage. I was like, all right, so listen, I know none of you have ever heard a Furby bit before. I may be the first person to ever do this, but I'm going to try my best for the last 3 minutes of this, okay? And then I said, Elmo was smoking a joint in the corner, and I was like, Elmo. And then, like,
Wait, dude, that's a crazy Elmo, bro.
I didn't know I could do it till that was improv on stage. I said, Ken and Barbie are fucking, and she's just dry humping on that flat dick. And like I was hitting on stuff that would never have worked if I had wrote it.
Yeah.
Like wrote and rehearsed it. Because when the way I do stand up is a little bit different than other people. I'm going to walk up on stage knowing every word, every phrase, every signal that I'm going to do. I'm going to lean in like this, or I'm going to change my voice from this to this. And I'm trying so hard to learn how to riff off of a crowd. Yeah. That is difficult.
That's my biggest weakness. It's been something that I've been trying to work on more because I'm very much just kind of like what you said. I'm like a stand-up nerd where I'll write my jokes. They're in the notes on my phone. They have several different phases. They'll make it to a different section of the notepad if they've passed these phases. I'll type the lines out, and each line will be where the pause is. So you'll look at it, and it'll look like a haiku or a poem almost because each line breaks like that's where there's a pause. That's where there's a pause.
Haiku.
Yeah. And then I'll practice that. I'll recite it, but I feel like once my sets get too polished, they lose something. There has to be some amount of looseness to it, and the way that I've combated recently, being able to keep the looseness that I want, because otherwise it's not worth it to me, while still having like polished sets, is I try my hardest every time I'm about to go up on stage to find something that happened that night that the audience was in the room for, to be like, look, you're about to hear some shit that other people have heard, but I want you to know that I'm funny off the fucking fly. So here's some shit that I just wrote tonight. You can laugh now.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a whole lot. I'm a guy who I want, in order for it to be like funny for me or for my wife, when I hear my wife laugh, it makes me think this is a good joke. So I'm always, every show that I do, every mic that I do, I'm at least throwing something new in.
Yeah.
And so for you to feel that way, that's very like, that hits home for me because I always want to give somebody something new. And then I can either take that and then use it in a new way, or I can, that was funny in a moment, but I might have to lose it. But that was awesome. And then you can piece, how did that joke work that way that day?
And it seems like, and I mean, I could be wrong with my limited experience, but it seems like nothing warms up a crowd better than knowing that they're hearing something that you just came up with.
Oh, yeah.
They can pick up on that energy, and then it seems like the rest of your set is just better because of it.
You kind of remind me of Andrew Schultz. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, I know Andrew Schultz.
Because Andrew Schultz has a hardcore Boston accent. Like, he's very aggressive. But, like, it's kind of in the same sense. Like, Andrew Schultz isn't, like, going out to be a dick. But he presents things like, man, why the fuck you say that? Like, in a way that you kind of do. And you kind of present yourself in the same manner.
I think, maybe it's like a little bit of like me being in like the military for so long. I'm just so used to like busting balls and, the fitness community and just around the people I hang around, like my entire life, I moved around a lot when I was a kid. I was always the new kid. I was never the cool kid. you had to have thick skin. Like, you just had to.
But like that, so that even that too, I want to. We're gonna dive into that just a little bit because, well, so Jake Hartman, and that's something I want to talk about. When you brought that up to me, his father just passed,
I saw that.
and that was heartbreaking. But Jake Hartman has always been to me a guy that was like, man, you take like, I mean, you can take your comedians, right? A whole list, everybody in the Quad Cities.
Yeah.
And there's the really good ones, there's the really bad ones, and then there's the really smart ones that just know what they're doing and they're really trying to work it. That was Jake Hartman in my powerlifting world. Just so much smarter than everybody else.
The dude, shout out Jake. I don't know if he'll
Shout
see
out
this.
Beauty. I'm gonna put his face here. Maybe a D pick right here.
That dude to me is one of has one of the craziest work ethics I've ever seen in my life. And when I was under him, when he was coaching me, he had how many other clients? He had a full-time big boy job. He was opening a gym. Like, it doesn't stop. And like sometimes we would text back and forth and he would talk about like feeling overwhelmed, but it wouldn't matter any sort of advice or any sort of, like grain of wisdom that I could toss his way. Like, this dude was always just going to work. And that's so inspiring to me. You need people like that in the world. And yeah, I mean, that's why I respect him so much. Knew his brother, going to school with him. His brother was a grade younger than me. And yeah, just both of them, just genuinely great people.
And so what is your relationship with like the fitness world, I guess? But we should take a shot of Fireball before we start talking fitness, right? And I'll slap this one on the ground for the spirit animals.
Cheers,
out there.
man.
Oh shit.
I don't know, man. I was never gonna be
I'm
good.
doing the same thing after that last one. Woo. I think we hit that sentiment in the middle. Woo.
I was never gonna be good at like what I was doing. Like, I was never gonna be like naturally gifted at it. And if I worked hard enough, I could be, halfway competitive. I started off, I was interested in bodybuilding. I joined the military right out of high school when I got back from basic and AIT because I was a chubby kid all through high school. And in my mind, I have horrible body dysmorphia, dude. Horrible. The worst.
On perspective?
Yeah. And in my mind, I always made it out to be anytime that somebody wasn't fucking with me, didn't want to be my friend, it was never like, maybe I'm an asshole or maybe I have resting bitch face. It was always like, these people would like you more if you weren't a chubby piece of shit, dude. And so I got back from basic and AIT. I had the highest PT score in my entire AIT class. I worked out obsessively. There would be evenings we'd get back to the barracks and basic training, and I would just be doing body weight stuff all night, and people would like roast me for it. They'd be like, look at this nerd, like trying so hard. I'm like, I was obsessed. And when I left basic training, I weighed 154 pounds. I went from like 215s, like I look like a skeleton, And I got home, and one of my good friends from high school,
Like Nathan Kuhn.
one of my good friends from high school had started doing bodybuilding competitions. And I'm not an athlete, and I'll never pretend to be. I have no natural athletic skill. But I loved lifting. I loved lifting the later years of high school. It was something that, came relatively easily to me, or so I thought at that time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't have to be an athlete for this. I just have to watch what I eat. I just have to try putting on more weight and this and that. And I took it an unhealthy direction, as people tend to do, and didn't do anything with it. I always would fuck up the diet. I wasn't disciplined enough before I had coaches that were saints for putting up with how inconsistent I was and like my little disordered brain, I'm just like, it's whatever. And I got to be big and fit enough that when people would like see me around, they'd be like, oh, Zach's big and fit, or people would like comment on it. But I was never close to stepping on stage.
But you even still look like a very fit guy.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
And so I stepped away from that, and then I found powerlifting through Jake. And he took me on. I got back from deployment in 2018. And he took me on, and I'm like, listen, here's some nagging injuries that I have. Here's this local YMCA meet that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's only a handful of months, but like anything you tell me to do, man, like I'll do it. And ended up doing way better than I should have.
Give me some numbers, Daddy.
So
Give me some numbers.
I competed at 198.
Okay.
None of my other lifts were good, but you have to understand they came from nothing. So I deadlifted 400 that competition, which isn't
That's good.
from nothing, and then I squatted 335. I bombed out on 365, but I benched 350 at 198.
Damn. Okay.
Which was like the second highest bench in the comp behind somebody that was competing in like
What comp was it? Do you know?
it was Motley Fitness through like a YMCA meet. It wasn't through USPA or anything like that. But after that, I had the bug. I'm like, this is what I want to do.
It's an easy thing to get like to nibble on.
Yeah,
because it'll change you very quick.
and my numbers started going up. I kept on training with Jake. I moved to Bloomington, went through a serious breakup during this time, still kept on doing it. My consistency fell off a little bit because I was just struggling so much moving to Bloomington and ending like a 4-year relationship.
Oh, dude.
But I still kept up with it. Things were looking on par to be better. We had a meet in mind, and then the pandemic hit, and then I was broke. And I had to message Jake, and I had to be like, listen, man, like I can't afford to like have you, which is like the most embarrassing thing ever. Like my tail was like between my legs. I'm like, I can't, dude. I can't, and I started traveling for work. As soon as I found a job where I was no longer traveling for work, Jake was the first person I hit up.
Oh,
And I'm like, guess what, dude? Like, I'm back. Like, I'm a little bit more financially stable now. Let's do it again. And we started over again. And whatever spark existed within me with fitness in general before like the pandemic, before Illinois closed gyms for like 8 months, it was just gone. I started going to gyms, and the things that I used to never notice, I started noticing. Like I started noticing like all the Gymshark apparel, all these people that just look like such tools, all these people that you can tell were inspired by like a generation of like Brad Castleberries and shit. And I'm just like,
damn, dude, Brad Castleberry, are you serious, dude? I hate him.
Yeah. And I'm like, none of these kids like got into it the reason I did. Like these are all like YouTube kids. These are all kids that were watching a lot of like Matt Ogus videos. Matt Ogus seems like a great guy. Nothing against him, but I'm just like, it's different. Like their reasons aren't mine. Like this is just the new trendy thing. And when I got into it, it wasn't the trendy thing.
But it was for you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You like, I can see, because I did that same thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes these trends, they hit so much. And we're like, dude, my era was so much more important than your era.
Yeah.
But like,
Even
it's
like,
okay to do that.
Even like powerlifting, like you'll listen to like Jake talk about like the time it was way more. It was like punk rock back then. It was like a halfway like straight edge sort of deal. And it had ties to like that community, and then it became way more mainstream. And it's weird because we have this duality where we want to see things be successful. We want to see the things we enjoy and the artists we enjoy see success and get monetary gain, but at the same time, that always kind of ruins it, doesn't it?
So I have one like that hits me the same way when you said Brad Castleberry. Brad Castleberry's always been a loser. And listen, Brad, if you ever want to come on the podcast, you're not invited. But
you are fucking invited, dude.
I do want to. I want to make sure I do not forget this. Cedric McMillan is one of the coolest guys I've ever met my whole life, and his passing is like one of the most saddest, tragic things. He passed yesterday on a treadmill. Like this guy, especially for law enforcement and anybody in the field of bodybuilding, like. This is such a crazy thing.
And maybe that's another thing that turned me off from it, but we've lost like a lot of great people, great, smart people. Matt Porter, do you remember Matt Porter?
Yes.
Dude was super smart. Seemed like he had his health completely in line. Was all about blood work and stuff. John Meadows, another super smart dude. And
Chris Hickson.
I don't know him.
Wow, you don't know Chris Hickson? Do you know who Pete Rubish is?
No.
Oh my God. Dude, my buddy Riley right now is literally just gritting his teeth to nothing. So when we started, Chris Hickson and Pete Rubish were pulling 800 pounds.
Okay, so that might have been the difference because powerlifting was like the last end of my fitness stop. So I can tell you about like a lot of influential bodybuilders that passed.
Well, they were like sniffing like bleach in their basement and destroying their foundation of their home. Like they were just unbelievable deadlifters. And that's how I based, and to end where I ended my powerlifting career was the same, like in the 800 area of deadlift. But like dude, when Chris Hickson died, I don't know what the fuck he died of, but it was, I mean, like, dude, yeah, he took a lot of roids.
Yeah.
But it was just something that we had spent so much time focusing on those videos. And now we have this new era of lifting that I couldn't be a part. I was like, I just had two torn. Go ahead.
No, you go. You finish.
No, I had torn both hamstrings, shattered my right foot, dropped 765 pounds on a sumo deadlift on my foot. And then that world just, I knew it had to disappear.
Yeah.
So I had to find a new world.
Yeah.
And that was stand up and
podcast. I see 19-year-old kids with a late stage male pattern baldness that weigh 250 pounds with like the worst cystic acne you've ever seen at like 5% body fat. And they're like, I'm like, that's awesome, dude. That's fucking great for you. How much money are you making from this? Nothing. You're still a high V grocery checker. Yeah. Like, you're going to be dead by the time you're my age, dude. Like, you aren't making it. You get that, right? But like, there's no concept of that anymore.
But so even outside of the lifting world and stand-up world, who is Zach Vaughan? Like, who is Zach Vaughan? Even outside of his military world, Zach Vaughan and his not messaging some girl on Tinder. Who is he when he's just laying there by himself?
I don't know, man. I had a conversation with. Wow, that's a question. That's a question.
I'm sorry.
That's a question. I had a conversation with a friend when I like first moved to this area, like a good friend of mine, and we were just talking about life and everything, and he was my lifting partner for like a while, you know, good friend of mine. Shout out Brennan. And
Step Brothers?
Yeah. And I was lifting one night at the gym, and his girlfriend at the time came up to me, and she's like, I just want you to know that I appreciate you being such a good friend to Brennan. Boom. And I remember just like taking a second. I'm just like, what the fuck just happened? Like, there's nobody in the world whose friendship I'm observing so closely that I would walk up to them and be like, you're a great friend, you know, like that just doesn't happen. And it threw me off so much. Like, I'm just like, it made me feel happy, obviously. I'm like, that's cool. But it felt like the longer I sat in that moment, the more I'm like, that's the best feeling in the world, dude. And ever since then, everything that I've pursued, everything that I've tried doing with my life has been trying to get me to a place where the people that I love and I care about, I'm just able to be there for them in a better capacity. Like, that's the best feeling. Being that dude that, like, the people that you love can count on. Being that dude that, like, and any time that I feel like I'm slipping from that, anytime that I feel like I'm caught up in my own things, anytime I'm having relationship issues or financial issues or whatever, all that's really in my mind is like, this is preventing me from just like being a good hang, dude. Like, you know,
or going on a good quest.
Yeah. Or going on a good quest. Like, that's the most important thing to me. Like, when I look back at my life and all the things that I've tried doing and all the hobbies I've had, it's always been to be like better to like the people around me. You know what I mean?
So I had a couple of messages And like I'm a nosy guy, but I don't like to. When I get nosy, I don't like to put in my 2 cents. I just like to know what's going on with everybody, so then I can adjust to how I want to handle a situation with each person. But I heard something about you the other day, and it was like one of the nicest, sweetest things in the world. You said outside of the comedy club, like, this is the coolest thing in the world to have so many close friends. Like, you guys are like my closest friends, and I appreciate you all. You said that. That's what I was told.
Yeah.
And
there was alcohol involved, but yeah, it's
it
also
doesn't
true.
matter what was involved. I think that, like, I literally look at that situation and I go, man, I felt that in my fucking chest,
dude.
man.
It feels like
sometimes it's so incredible to have, like a group of people you look around and go, who's my enemy? And then you don't have one.
Yeah, dude, like it's so good to have like community. Like it's good to have people to like care about, and like it's weird seeing everybody at like different stages of this journey. Mm-hmm. And some of these people aren't going to stick with it, and that doesn't matter to me, man. It doesn't matter to me if the people that I call friends right now wake up tomorrow and they're like, I'm done doing stand-up comedy. It doesn't matter, dude. Like, you're still my friend. It's cool watching everybody navigate these obstacles, and for just a few moments of their life, they can get away and they just tell some jokes, and sometimes it goes well and sometimes it doesn't go well. But like, the best part about doing comedy now, for the first time since I started doing it, is no matter how many people walk up to me and like fist bump me after a set and they're like, you killed it. I'm like, that's a great fist bump. On my way to go hang out with some people that I fucking love,
And so, I mean, 100%. Like, so the Bishop Hill show. Now, this is a weird thing. I believe you were right beside me. When the guy came up, Austin was pissed, and the guy was like, you need to grab the mic again and do 5 more minutes, whatever he said. You remember the guy with the beard? And I was like, I thought to myself, I thought it over twice. I was like, thank you so much for saying that. This is very flattering. You need to get the fuck out of here and go shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But like, also at that, I am thinking of multiple levels of things. And you do the same thing where you're thinking of this situation as this situation as this. And you look at people and you think that same thing. Like, yes, I do not want to be a complete asshole to a guy who just fanboyed me like a motherfucker. I love that. Yeah, this is great for me. But also, dude, go sit the fuck down. Yeah. You're being a complete dick to everybody around me. But like, those levels is what makes us so complex.
And like, I've always been standoffish with people.
I fucking wait, time out. I fucking love you. You are I've done 94 guest episodes on this fucking show. And I don't know why the show's killing it right now. Thank you all so much. The show's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Castbox, all those things. But I have never, dude, you just, you know exactly when it's time to be like, Shayne, shut the fuck up. It's my turn to talk. And I love it so much because, like, Julian, just talk, dude. Hey, dude. I mean, JT, whatever the fuck you want to be called this week. Just talk. That was like literally me, like, putting pliers down his mouth and just trying to grab something out. Dude, you are so good. Why do you not have your own podcast?
Maybe eventually someday you can be a guest on it, Shayne.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm naturally kind of like untrusting towards people too, which sucks because, like, as somebody that wants people to like him so much, like us comedians tend to do. But I think honestly, like, what broke the ice to me more than anything entering this community is I did an office open mic maybe 3 weeks before I actually ended up moving to Davenport. And after my set, Austin and JD, who I had never spoken to before, came up.
You guys had a great podcast on movies I like with JD Spats. Check it out.
Yeah, check it out. Came up to me, and they just treated me like we had been friends for fucking 20 years, dude. And I remember like at first I was like, because I'm always so skeptical of people. And so at first I'm like, what's the move here? You know?
What's the catch? Yeah.
And then I actually moved to the area and it didn't stop, dude. Like they just kept being cool to me. And I realized like, hey man, like maybe this community can be cool. Mm-hmm. And in 4 months, I've watched the community transform. My first mic at the Broken Saddle was just comics and there were maybe 6 people there. And I finished my set and Pubali came up afterwards. I finished my set full of like ums and like reading my phone. And she's like, that was a polished set. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm just like, that was the least polished set I've ever delivered in my life. And it was just like, it was so much love, like right from the get-go. And my brain just couldn't even comprehend it. I'm just like, wow, this could be a really, really cool community. This could be like a really positive thing. They could do a lot for a lot of people, man. Because people struggle with this shit. Like people struggle with like feeling alienated and left out. I keep on looking at those Superman titties in your corner.
Oh yeah, those are my. So we do a lot with burlesque and the LGBTQ community, but so sometimes we do it where we get a gift back, and so these are Married Quite Contrary's House Burlesque. Well, 6 of the girls, they put on the pasties they gave to me. If you want to smell them, they're back there somewhere. But they all put the titty tassels on. And
now, Shayne, I know the audience wants to ask, can you identify the girls based on the Superman pasties?
Let's put the picture up right here. But I can identify at least 3 of them.
At where I was at in Champaign, like, dude, I have friends in Champaign right now. Shout him. Matt LaCour.
Can we put his picture up?
Yeah.
Right,
handsome guy.
Damn, dude, he's fuckable.
Yeah.
His face is right there.
I have friends in like the Champaign-Urbana area right now that would be headliners that haven't gotten feature acts yet because they're in Champaign-Urbana where like you have to grind for that shit. Mm-hmm. You have to work for that shit. This dude had done stand-up twice.
He's on a show, packed house.
And got his first featuring act. And I know like a lot of the community around here is going to disagree with me. And I don't want to belittle anyone in the community. I think everybody should be able to get features. I think everyone should be able to tell their jokes. No, it's not even like that at all. I'm
just saying that I want you to.
I love it. Like I love seeing people get opportunities on stage, but where I came from, that wasn't that. So to see somebody get that opportunity when they didn't even have a full 5 minutes yet, and then talk through other comic sets, I just wanted to strangle the guy until his eyes popped out of his head. You know what I mean?
Can I tell you something about that night? That was the most scared I'd ever been to be a headline.
Yeah, dude.
And like
you had people come out for you. That was a Shot 30 crowd. Shout out,
dude.
Shot 30.
Thank you all so much. Like I love you, but like that was I was scared. I was terrified because it wasn't like a thing of is people gonna love me after this or not. It wasn't a thing of, did I waste Pubali and Hunter's time booking me for this? I was like, look at, I got a lot of faces in this room that I know. It was, how do I do this now? In a sense where I really did it, you know, like, and so when I saw that, when I was done and I looked at my wife, she handed me the phone and it said 21 minutes. 21 minutes meant everything to me, you know, like I was up there for 21 minutes after only being an open mic comic. Like,
yeah,
that was really powerful to me.
Which is awesome, dude. I remember, so Davenport, positivity. And then shortly after I was watching all these people get feature acts. And there were a couple of feature acts I got invited on that like happened on weekends I couldn't do. And so I'd been doing comedy a year and a half and I hadn't featured yet. And I was starting to feel bad about myself. Mm-hmm. I remember talking to like Austin and JD and being like, yo, dude, like, am I even funny? Like, is this just some delusion I'm like perpetuating to myself? Like, I just felt bad. And so I was like a real low point in comedy. I'm just like, you know, like maybe everything that I've convinced myself of like isn't the actual, like the reality of the situation. And I was at work one day, we were getting ready to leave. And James Draper hit me up. and he's like, hey, somebody just dropped out of the speakeasy. It was St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Yeah.
He's like, I told him that you would like to do it. It's about 15 minutes. I'm like, 15 minutes, dude. I'm like, I maybe have a tight 10 right now. And I write all the time, but like, you know, like the difference between having 60 minutes and having, you know, you get what I mean? Like, you have 2 hours of comedy and you maybe have like a good 8 minutes in there, you know?
It's the fine line of you're killing it 8 minutes or you're bombing 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it's way different.
He's like, you could probably do 15 minutes. I'm like, sure. And I had St. Patrick's Day plans that day. I was going to go out and I was going to get toasted with my friends. And I spent that entire day in my apartment. I took some Epsom salt baths. I meditated, wrote a bunch of comedy, and then I paced around my apartment reciting that comedy. And then I drove to the speakeasy to do that comedy and got a fucking seatbelt ticket. Fuck you, Rock Island Police.
Did you really get a seatbelt ticket?
By a cop with glasses. And when he handed me the ticket, he's like, I'm seatbelt enforcement. I'm like, yeah, you are? With those glasses, they must really be working. And he loved that. It was nighttime and I was wearing a black hoodie, you fuck. I hope your wife's cheating on you right now, dude.
Oh, dude. She might be. She might be.
And I was undeterred because I was so over the moon about the set. I went to the set and I did, I could have done 15, but I like wanted to cut things out so I didn't go over it. And I ended up doing like 12 and a half tight minutes where like every joke landed and then everything just felt good again. And it seems like ever since then, I've just been on this weird little hot streak where things are just better and everything's happy and positive in the world. Which is all fine and dandy for me, I guess. But what it's really fine and dandy for is like now, like I'm out of my own head. And I can just start like giving comics cred where they're due. Like, again, going back to like looking back at being a better hang, like now that I'm not so in my head about whether I'm funny or not, or whether my jokes are going to land or not, now I can like appreciate other comics. Because they aren't like this, they aren't this like competition with me anymore. They're just peers that I care about and like want to see them succeed. And it completely shifted my mindset. So,
and that is the thing that is a weird line in our worlds, like where you're looking at other people and everybody's so different, especially in the Quad Cities. You're a different comedian than I am. I'm different than Austin. Austin's different than JD. JD's different than JT. JT's different than Starman. Starman's different than Leslie. Leslie's different than Draper, you know, like, but we all come down to, we're just trying to do stand-up. We're trying to make people laugh for longer periods of time. And each time we do stand-up, all we want to do is make it so we can make people laugh for longer than we did the last time.
exactly.
I'm going to go pee real quick. Plug everything you fucking got, dude. Anything you fucking got, plug it. Whether it's your OnlyFans, butthole pictures, anything, plug it.
All right.
You got some butthole pictures?
Yep, I sure do.
Shayne, make sure you edit it. Plug it.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for listening to Shot 30 Podcast. My name's Zach Vaughan. I have an open mic coming up at the Renwick Mansion, April 20th. That is 420 for those of you that don't know. I have a feature set at the Renwick Mansion, Tom Flory on Tremont, coming up April 23rd at the Renwick Mansion. I have a set at the Anderson City Coffee House, April 22nd. I have something else coming up in Dubuque sometime in June, I think. And that's it. But, you know, if you're listening to this, give me more. I can do more.
Fuck, I heard you say that's it. Whew, so I ran.
Dude, that was a quick piss, bro. You must have a real strong stream.
Oh, dude. I could squirt that shit out fast. All right, you're going to take this one with me?
Yeah.
All right.
Cheers.
Happy anniversary to the first day we ever did a podcast together.
Happy anniversary, dude. Can't wait to have you on mine. Shot 31.
I like it. What's the premise? Oh, Jesus. Uh-oh. Oh. What the fuck is that?
Should we wipe it off?
Well, I mean, like I spilt on the fucking dashboard. And do you hear that?
Yeah. It definitely triggered something, right?
I don't really know.
Is that...
They sent us this one for free. And then the video I made for them was awful.
So when you wipe your asshole, are you a crumple or a fold guy?
I'm a mixture of both. Do you go from the front or the side?
So, dude, I used to, for a long time in my life, I used to stand up to wipe. I thought that was the way you did it. And then recently I just discovered...
Shit.
I know. I just discovered that you can just, like, lean your ass cheek to the side.
And
you can still get in there.
Well,
But
you got thick thighs, yeah. So that's a hard way to go through the middle.
I don't go through the middle because I don't want my balls to taste like poop, I guess.
Well, okay, so are you a butt eater guy? Like, will you eat butt?
Yeah, no, dude. It's like probably like my romance language, I would say. I used to be weird about it. It used to be like a third date only thing, but now it's kind of like if it's there in front of me, you know.
So it's face sitting. Is that a porn category you'd look up? Face sitting?
Face sitting, yeah.
I just don't like to choke. You know, like I need to go like, hey, I need a breather. Like, get the fuck off me right now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, you can post up for a minute.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. And like sometimes like if they're grinding into your nose and they're a little stubbly down there, you like start getting some like nose road rash.
Pink eye,
You know what I mean? So
Okay. Nose rash. Okay, never mind. Okay, so can you tell me the weirdest thing that's ever happened? So, like I told you, this is nothing like
finish the sentence, man. I'll tell you if I can tell you.
This is nothing like Bob Saget's fucking podcast.
Shout out.
Shout out to Colin.
Shout out Colin
dude,
Straight
and
Love
like
that guy.
I have no idea what he did to make our podcast like successful, but thanks for saying whatever you said. But like, do you have something that is like maybe too weird, too aggressive? Because I do have one, and if you have to think, I can tell you mine, and then we can go back and forth. But it's pretty weird.
All right, man. You start with yours. I'll assess the weirdness of that, and then I'll be able to tell you mine, man.
So when I was in high school, I was 18, like almost 19, because I turned. My birthday was on the April 30th. So right before I graduated, I turned 19.
Okay.
Never flunked. My parents started me a year late.
Okay.
You know, I was a little slow, but just a year slower than everyone else. You know, like.
Yeah, dude.
And so there was this one girl. She went to Princeville, which was 30 miles away.
Okay.
But she was hot. She was a 2-time All-State softball pitcher. Shout out to softball players out there.
Shout out to softball players. It's crazy, man. You had like you're rolling the dice. She could have been a lesbian, but
Yeah, well, she was.
get used to the later part of the story.
And so we're in the country. We go into the backseat of my 91 Ford Explorer.
That's a good year for the Ford Explorer.
Like that's the year I was born, so that thing meant it was like at least 19 years old.
Yeah.
And so I reached down in her pants and I just was like, yeah. Wait. Her hair was longer than my beard hair. Like it was like 3 to 5 inches long. I mean, and it went all the way front to back. I was like exploring the whole thing, and it was so long.
Like a wizard's sleeve?
I wouldn't go with Chris Kaufman. I would say more of like Julian's hair.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Silky.
It was disgusting. And I was like, I have to pick up my little sister from school. And so we didn't do it. And so then the second time we met up, she was like, all right, let's do it. And then I was just like,
Did she do any sort of prep work the second time? She like, all right, I can cut 3 inches off this.
no, she let me know that she was super pissed off. She was trying to lose her virginity to me, and she didn't know that was supposed to be trimmed down.
Hey, champ, I have some advice for you.
Yeah, like don't Fabio it. Like, dude, just go like with that clean shaven. But she didn't know, and I felt like a dick. And now she's a like multimillionaire living on the top of Colorado Springs on a fucking
I'm sorry that Shayne hurt you, but Shayne isn't me.
And he's so much nicer. She's married to a naval captain. So I mean, I know you have National Guard.
Yeah, the guard.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one to compete with, right?
Being a naval captain.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's the money comparison?
Oh, I mean that National Guard's like part time unless you have like a full time.
So
gig.
what's the money fucking comparison?
Not even close, man. It'd
So
just be
like
any active duty. To
so
like
like
part-time
1 million to like
I said
8,000?
he's not making $1 million as a Navy captain. He's making maybe like I don't know, dude. I don't know officers.
What's he
maybe
making?
maybe like 90,000.
Oh,
It's achievable. It's achievable, man. You can still win her back.
I don't need to win. I'm talking about you.
I can't somehow. I thought fixing airplanes would be a financially lucrative career, but it's not, man. I could work at an AutoZone and probably do the same. Except I couldn't go to federal prison at AutoZone. I definitely can work on airplanes.
I'm trying to figure out how the fuck I'm gonna edit this thing. Like, oh my god. Okay, so Colin Strajack, he's a piece of shit, right?
Fuck that guy. So anyway, your whole weird
Now
thing was
yours.
just
We need your story.
was just
of
about the okay. I got you. So I was probably
7, 8,
20. I was probably 20.
close, 12 years off.
And I might have been driving a Hyundai Accent at this time. And
Hand me down.
no, we picked it up for like a good deal,
You found the keys.
and this girl I went to school with at the time, invited her back. We were like riding the back roads because I couldn't have been 20. I had to been like 19. I was still living with my parents. I hadn't moved yet, so it had to been like 18 or 19.
How old are you now?
28.
Oh, so we're in the same boat, dude. We're just.
And we're driving around, and we go move things to the back seat, and this girl gives me
Bush?
no, maybe. She just starts giving me head. Probably, I'm not ashamed to admit it, some of the best head I've received to this day. It was just sloppy, kind of like it that way. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's so good. Finish, hard for me to finish from head. Mm-hmm. She makes me finish. And then I go and drop her off at her place. I'm wearing like basketball shorts, right?
Yeah.
Drop her off at her place. I'm pretty sure I walk her inside too. And her
Still erect.
And her family's there.
Still erect.
And then I leave, go home, walk into my own house, and then when I look in the bathroom mirror, I realize there's vomit all over the front of my basketball shorts because this girl threw up when she was blowing me, and instead of being like, hey, I should probably stop doing this, she's like, I'm just going to let him finish. Which, honestly, shout out her,
Shout out. Shout out to my sister. Hey, Carrie, if you're watching this, you fucking did a good job.
There were so many questions I had about that. I'm just like, why would you... You knew I wasn't going to talk to you again. Why?
This is all real, right?
Yeah.
Woo!
So that was probably one of the grossest things that's ever happened to me, man.
Yeah, I had one of those nights where I had put a bottle of Everclear in my asshole.
I listened to you and Colin's podcast. I heard about it.
I always said that?
Yeah, you mentioned it, dude. Mike and Ike's.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Dude, I fuck heavy with Mike and Ike.
Oh, I would too, because they know how to party.
They know how to party.
There's some things sometimes that are more powerful than what you're ready for. Yeah. When Thanos snapped those fingers, the whole universe wasn't ready. Half of it was good with it. The other half wasn't.
They're like, I'm fine with this happening.
But I've had some things happen in my life. I don't know, bro. I don't know. Where can everybody find all of your stuff at? And when I say this to you, this hurts my butt. I cannot wait to do another podcast with you. We're just at our time.
Yeah, man. So follow me on Instagram. That's where I post most of my stand-up stuff. My Instagram gets no love for some reason. It seems like the Facebook algorithm is
Theo,
way
right?
better.
Theo?
Yeah, Theo Vaughan. It's going to be ZA Vaughan _93. That's ZAVAUGHAN _93. Follow me there. Like my post. I post stories sometimes. You can add me on Facebook. The name's Zach Vaughan. Just don't be weird about it, and we can be friends.
OnlyFans?
No OnlyFans.
Do you have big?
Small balls, soft dick, not that great, dude.
Give me some like
I can't give you the dimensions publicly,
yeah,
but
that's what I'm trying.
I mean, I've always been like, if I could just cut a couple inches off my hard dick and put it on my soft dick, I would, because I have them to spare.
Well, a couple inches. That means guys, get in there. If you see Zach Vaughan on your fucking Tinder, fucking swipe right. Do you want to put your Tinder up? We have some hot babes. We have some hot babes who follow the pod.
In Matherville, they aren't doing meth right
Not
now actively.
in Matherville. Our fans don't just consist of Matherville. Do you want to post your Tinder?
I don't think you can post a Tinder, dude. I think it's just one of those things that have to be within your search radius.
Just say it. My Tinder is
Zach.
Go look up Zach. Hey, this is Shot 30 Podcast. I am Shayne Newber. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Shot 30 Podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, CastBox, YouTube. That is Zach Vaughan. I'm Shayne Newber. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for listening.